So I pulled both flights for this N888KG flight that everyone keeps saying went off the radar on the ADSB app, but I was able to pull up the history on the Flight Radar 24 one. There was 2 flights. The first flight was from Provo to Page, Arizona. Okay, they took off from Provo at approximately 1:11. Their scheduled departure time was 1:15, but they left 4 minutes early. Good for them. They were scheduled to arrive in Page, okay, at 2:11 p.m., but they actually landed at 1:48 p.m., okay? So here's the flight. They left Provo, okay? They never went offline. They cruised down to Page, and they landed in Page. Now, what the fuck is here? I don't know. Okay. Now, we'll say, I think the Grand Canyon or something is around here. Maybe. Oh, yeah, right here. So, I don't know what that's about. Anyways. Sorry. So, they spent roughly 45 minutes in Page before departing Page here. Here's the second flight to go back to Provo. They were scheduled to leave at 2:30 p.m. and arrive back at Provo at 3:14 p.m. But they actually departed at 2:32 p.m., which were 2 minutes late, okay? And then they landed at 3:06 p.m., okay? And you can see here that they never went offline. This is 2 separate flights, okay? They were at Page, and they left Page and flew back to Provo. Never going off the radar. Now, Charlie died at 12. Well, he was shot at 12:23 p.m. I would have to go back and look and see at what point in time they actually determined that he was not alive anymore or actually announced it. The other interesting thing that I was able to pull is all of the data for both the flights. So this is the first flight, okay? This is altitude and speed, okay? So this is like ground speed, okay? So they're kind of probably just taxiing at Provo. And then you can tell they actually take off because their altitude is up. All of these times here are in, what's it called? It's the, like, not marine time. It's like the UTC time. So that's like standard time that's used. So it is going to say like 7:12, but it actually is 1:12, okay? Because it's 6 hours. UTC time is 6 hours past mountain time where Charlie was. Now, you see they're flying. And then they get pretty high here, after in their flight. Going. And then they're all of a sudden no altitude anymore. And that means that they're on the ground, correct? Now, what I find interesting is that here is their speed, so their ground speed. And even though it's like 5 miles per hour or whatever, it never really gets to zero except like for 1 second, like for 9 seconds or something like that. Like, so they literally just like taxiing weirdly, I guess, like at this Page airport until they got back on their flight and departed at 2:32 p.m. to go back. And then this would be the flight home back. And I say home. The flight back to Provo You can tell they're in the air. Okay, in the air, in the air, in the air, in the air. Their speed here. They actually were flying pretty lower, it seems, maybe. I don't know. They get a little high right here. But then they finally land at their, or land, this is the landing at 3:06. Okay, I know it says 9:06, but again, 6 hours UTC time. And then this was them back at Provo. So I don't know. I'm thinking what happened with the ADSB app is that the person that was looking this up wasn't realizing that there was 2 separate flights. Now, I will say, if we're going to beg some suspicion to this situation, what is in page? That would have been so important to these people. They seem to have gotten pretty high. So, like, part of me was like, maybe they were just, like, looking at all this, like, nice little mountainous terrain and, like, how beautiful it is and, like, all that stuff. But they got pretty high. So, I don't really know what the point of that would have been. But, like, what's in page, right? What's here? What is in page? This is the first flight. They land in page. And you can actually see the amount of taxiing they did actually on here. So, I don't know. That's my 2 cents on it.